So I became a mom of two essentially in 48 hours.
Yes, you did.
There's no such thing as being able to do it all.
Welcome to Success Decoded. I'm your host, Taylor Elizabeth, an emotional intelligence and self-development coach passionate about helping individuals uncover their true potential, build their confidence, and create meaningful success. This podcast is not just about achievements, titles, or material success. It's about exploring the deeper, often overlooked factors that contribute to extraordinary accomplishments. In each episode, I sit down with inspiring individuals from a variety of backgrounds to uncover their choices, habits, and mindsets that have shaped their journeys. Together, we explore the story behind the success, diving into resilience, emotional growth, curiosity, and other essential elements that often go unnoticed, but are crucial to living a truly fulfilled and impactful life. Get ready to decode the real keys to success, and let's embark on this enlightening conversation together. And our guest today is a shining example of resilience, ambition, and grace. She's not just an accomplished dentist and content creator, but also the founder of 7 Oral Care. And on top of it, she's a new mom. In this episode, we're peeling back the layers of her journey to understand how she balances the demands of motherhood, entrepreneurship, and her thriving career. We'll also explore the emotional intelligence and the grit it takes to build a brand while staying true to your passion and priorities. Welcome, Dr. Namrata.
Thank you so much for the lovely introduction. It's great to be here.
Yeah.
It's been a year and I'm excited.
Thank you so much to be here. I'm so happy. It's always wonderful, woman to woman, whenever I hear of such great success. And we'll dive right into it, because what I heard is that basically you launched this new business and then you had your son.
Yeah, so I've been practicing for almost a decade now. And then a couple of years ago, 2 years ago to be exact, I wanted to figure what I can do as an extension of what I'm doing, right? And I realized that I wanted to deep dive into the oral care industry because I have so much knowledge of it. And I understand that globally there's a lack of products. There is an existing market which has really not been tapped into, especially in India. And coincidentally, while that took off, I also turned out to be a mom to be around the same time. So I was literally having both in the 9 months versus 12 months. And both of them didn't stick to their due date. But turns out both of them decided just to launch one day after the other.
Yeah.
So we announced 7. And I was actually I had my website launching. I went to the gynac for a routine checkup. And I came back and my partner's like, you know what? Yeah, let's go. Like I fixed some bugs. Let's fix this. And I was like, hey, listen, I kind of have a little change of plans. I'm delivering tonight.
Yeah.
And just a slight change of plans. And there we were. And I think a couple of hours later, my son came into this world. So I became a mom of 2 essentially in 48 hours.
Yes, you did. Yeah.
Yes.
I mean, I would have to say, it's from one mom to another, an entrepreneur to another.
Yes.
That this is not always as it is, but it often is this way, where we plan for one thing and then it has its own idea.
I mean, if there's one thing I've learned, don't plan.
Yeah. Don't be rigid in the plan.
You just can't be.
The way you just described that, you seem to go with that flow pretty easily.
I learned that the most ironic way.
So what was that experience like, having both at that same time?
I think I've lived like a zombie. I'm going to be very honest, right? While everyone talks about the glory of both, right? About having a child and how beautiful it is. And it's amazing, right? Wouldn't change a thing. And the same thing with your own brand, right? It's a new baby. You're so excited. There's so much to do. And then having both together, I don't think I slept. So, I'm being very realistic. What happens is they say you sleep when the baby sleeps.
Yeah.
I worked when the baby slept.
Yeah, right.
So I had to power through. I don't think there was any minute that wasn't accounted for.
Mm-hmm.
So I feel like that time was such a blur. But yeah, I don't know if I would. I don't know if I would change that again.
I'm proud of us as women because we become very real about it. At least we're talking about it.
Yes.
That it is amazing. It is beautiful. It is a blessing.
Right.
And it is, as we look back on it, the most amazing part of our lives. And it is the most honorable job that we will ever have, if you even want to call it. Or it's really more a devotion that we'll ever have, right? Being a parent. But at the same time, it is really challenging. And as you're going through it, it can be really tough.
Parenting, motherhood is beautiful,
Yeah.
but it comes with its own set of challenges.
Yeah.
And I don't know, I truly believe that no woman, once she becomes a mother, is ever the person that she was. I think motherhood changes you unlike anything.
Yeah, it's like it's a total transformation
It is.
itself.
It is. I think like it's a very molecular transformation.
Yes.
Like you change at the very base of,
Yes.
who you are as
Yeah.
a person.
We can still feel really terrible about the process that we're going through and still love our children and still be great mothers as we're going through it as well, but still have all of that at one time. I mean, it's a very difficult emotional journey.
Absolutely. And I feel like I said, maybe the conversations are still starting. I feel like we're still being a lot more real and a lot more honest, maybe raw about what we feel.
Yeah.
I feel like postpartum is finally being spoken about.
Finally, yes.
On multiple fronts, right?
Yes.
Physically, you don't look the same. Your hormones crash right after, having that kind of pregnancy high that you have.
To get you through the birth
process. Everything, right? There's so much that goes on.
And I think the more we talk about this, the physical parts, the emotional parts, the stress parts, the not really waking up every day and feeling amazing about the whole situation, the more people feel normal. It feels more normalized about it.
I mean, think of it this way, right? We don't wake up in the same mood every day, irrespective, as human beings.
Yeah.
Right? You don't necessarily wake up saying, hey, I'm great to go today. Like the idea is to show up.
Yeah, exactly.
Right? And you may show up at very different levels, but as long as you're showing up, I think some of the guilt attached to it when it comes to us as mothers is something that we need to learn to, process correctly and channelize versus making us I feel like that constant heaviness that you're otherwise feeling as a mom, it takes a while to go away.
What are some tools or how do you do it? Like, how do you say, okay, you know what? This is where I am right now and this is what I need.
So honestly, it's taken me years of work. It's taken me years of therapy. And it's been a very long journey to actually understanding myself and regulating myself, right? Because I also come from healthcare and it's such a passion and compassion driven space, right? So I feel like for me, I came to realize that if I don't process what I'm feeling, I'm just going to be lashing out on others and I'm not really going to be finding anything constructive, right? Otherwise, I was constantly just snappy.
Yes.
I was not being able to communicate. So for me, the pause, reflect and communicate, right? Those three things really, really help me on multiple fronts. Instead of talking crap, take that day, take that hour, reflect on what are you actually feeling, right? Do you need more from your partner? Do you need more from yourself? Are you not structured enough? Do you, what is it that's lacking? And then according to that, I feel like I communicate that with the person or the team or family, or sometimes I just take space.
Perfect. So this is a life and professional hack. You want to pause, reflect, and then react to something. Many women look up to you because of your success, which is fantastic. Probably also because of who you are as a human being. That radiates. So for sure. But how hard can it be to lead and also miss your little one at home? So how do you experience the mom guilt?
So I think that's actually been the hardest part of my journey. So I slowed down from what I expected to, slow down. It took me 2 to 3 months to realize that, listen, I'm feeling this intense amount of guilt wherever I am, right? If I am at home with him, I feel like this part, like, is my patients being neglected? Is this part of the business being neglected? And vice versa, right? When I was at work, I was like, has he eaten? Has he, I feel like it's still an ongoing battle. I wish I could say I had some very concrete answer to that, but I wake up and I decide what is important that day. And you have to sometimes power through that heavy-chested feeling. Like I said, I wish there was a realistic answer to it.
No, it is. That is a very
right. And it also took me a very long time to realize that I personally believe as a mother that for a child, they should be exposed to multiple people.
Yes.
Right. I, in fact, feel like growing up, it is so nice. It's so much nicer for them emotionally and for their development.
Yeah.
If you're not constantly attached to just one person.
Yeah.
So that helped me realize that overall, it actually helps him grow to realize who his close people are, who his family are, and that his parents will always, or his mom, specifically will always be that root, but he has a support system always.
Yeah. And it's very healthy. Actually,
Yes.
They say that, the way human beings have been raising children
Yeah.
throughout history has been in family group.
Yeah.
At a certain age, this is actually the best way for them to be learning is through the experience, the exposure to other people.
Exactly.
I had in conscious parenting, they support that as well. But conscious parenting actually has there's an anecdote, this story that I always refer to. It's not mine. I cannot take credit for this. But, as women that are working, imagine we are juggling all these different balls at the same time. And when I think what you're saying, your story of resilience and being flexible and understanding every day is different and every situation is different, and you decide what is more pulling you, is that those balls that you are juggling or that I'm juggling, they're not all the same. Some are wood, some are glass, and some are rubber. And some will bounce back and some will fall and maybe make a thud, but they're okay. They're still in shape, and some will shatter. And you kind of have to decide. And I think coming to grips with how to balance that and understanding which is which, that's actually, I think, the key to trying to not eliminate the mom guilt, because I don't think that's going to go away.
Possible.
But to level that out so that it's healthier, more resourceful for us, you know?
Exactly. I don't think you could have put it in a better way. You just have to make sure it doesn't shatter.
But my mother also traveled, and I have to say, like, looking back at her, and she and I are very close, and she's my role model, my mentor. You know, looking at her, I'm thinking, yes, she was traveling quite a bit, but my mother raised me, my father raised me. You know, we had help and we had a support system and everything else, but really the memories are with her. And so it's really how you do it. It's not that you are doing it, it's how you do it and the intention that you put.
And again, I feel like absence need not always mean in physical presence.
Exactly.
Right? Like you would never assume her to be an absent mother just because she was working. That's my thing.
There are people that are very present with you, but they're actually absent.
I feel like present parenting is more important than only time-based parenting.
Yeah. Do you have a mantra for finding that balance?
So I'll tell you, right? I get a lot of questions, and one of the most asked questions, right? Even like if I'll do like a random AMA, it's like, how do you do it all? How are you doing everything? And how is that possible? Well, I'll be very honest. The realistic answer is it's not possible, right? It's not possible to do it all, especially on a day-to-day basis. And balance is more, like I said, priority. But the one thing that has really helped me this year, strangely, is learning the art of saying no. Okay. Because I cannot be everywhere. I cannot be living a life like I've not had a child. I basically have sorted my priorities to my son, my work, you know, and which involves both, which involves my business and my clinic. And what has really taken a hit is my social life. So you cannot have it all. So, and when it came to content creation, right? I was used to posting with a certain frequency. I accepted in the early months that I cannot do that. So I post more mindfully. So what everyone doesn't see is that while I am present online, I am not as present as I used to be. And that's a conscious decision, because these two parts of my world require me so much more right now that I'm ready to forego the content creation by a certain percentage. And I would say social life is barely minimally there. People have barely seen me around post that 8-10 p.m., which I was very used to. Because I feel like I would choose those hours of sleep to be able to wake up early, to be able to spend time with my son before heading to work for a bit. So I feel like you have to figure out what you want. You can't get everything.
Right. So the mantra is you can't have everything. So allow that to just be as it is.
And for me, learning to say no, right?
To say no.
It was really hard for me to keep saying no to things. It is, right?
It's hard.
Also, when sometimes you're tempted or you're like, oh my God, I've said no to this person like 5 times. Maybe I should just show up once. But I've just realized that saying no has helped me keep that whatever sort of balance I want at the moment.
I think the emotional balance, I would say my struggle with no, it's not, I'm very indecisive with my decisions. But I realized after the fact is that I didn't probably think that through like I wanted to. Had I actually said no, I wouldn't be feeling as I'm feeling right now.
Exactly.
It's that. And that is actually a relatively recent development. Even though I coach people on learning to set boundaries and saying no, it was like I thought I was setting that boundary, but actually I wasn't, because after I'm getting these emotions that are telling me I'm definitely not doing it. So it's an ongoing journey.
So I had the same, exactly what I'm saying. Right? It was the toughest thing for me to, you know, from saying yes to everything, even what I didn't want it to do, to now where I'm just like, I'm really sorry, thank you, but I will not be able to make it.
Okay, so you've been in the spotlight for a while now, both as a dentist and a content creator. How do you navigate the transition, especially being thrust into the limelight early in your career?
I actually had to make some really hard decisions when I was trying to juggle dentistry and content creation. This is even way before I became a mom. The word influencer started being thrown around, right? So I'm very happy that you say content creator, because my primary purpose of coming onto Instagram that early on, right? I say Instagram because that's where I primarily create content, was to build education about dentistry. It's so boring and such a feared profession. Create awareness about dental health, which is really neglected in India. And yes, also to indirectly market my clinic. I'm not going to lie. It was a new clinic. It was a second floor practice. There was no visibility. I started so young. So it was like, I'm here to either teach you, talk to you, and you can come to
And
me,
there's a
right? Yes. And then slowly what happens is when you do build a follower base, brands start dropping in. I do like to enjoy my life as well. So, it also peripheral brands about like food, lifestyle, etc. started popping in. And there was one year when I felt like that balance of my content shifted a little, where I was doing a lot more of this brand work and a lot more of, collaborations. And I felt that while monetarily, it did well for me, right? And like content creation can really pay you well, even if it's not dental. I really felt that took away from the overall presence that I had taken so long and built so hard to create.
Yeah.
So then I decided that I do not want to be that influencer. So I decided to step back and not influence. And I decided that I want to choose impact over influence. And that's when I chose dentistry and then content creation. So I realized that I'm doing content creation for what I do.
Yeah.
Like, which also now subsequently helps me in the oral care space. Also,
Yeah. So it's an impact versus influence.
Impact versus
Amazing.
influence, right?
I love that.
You have to realize that you're not going to be great at everything.
Yeah.
Right?
Of course, we shouldn't be, right?
Exactly.
I mean, the thing is, those things that we're not is where we can learn and grow, but it's also what makes us all different, and that's we should.
Yeah, I just feel like you have to have a number one and a number two,
and you have to be authentic, right? So authenticity is what actually shines through.
Exactly.
So and be authentic is you have to make that choice. But
and I felt like that really changed the entire game for me, if you ask me, even from the content creation side. Like being authentic was way more impactful on multiple fronts for me versus trying to be that content creator first.
They say that a brand, back to the brand, in an early stage needs as much attention as a newborn. Okay. And we've talked about how you have to prioritize those things. So now that your son is 1, okay, how are you prioritizing between your 2 babies? You're going back to work a little bit more, you said.
Yes.
You choose, but how else?
So basically now that he is 1, I have realized that maybe it's going to be till he's 2, that I'm going to be able to work a lot more. So between 1 to 2, I have decided to actively increase my hours per month. I allocate more segregated hours now, which basically means that sometimes I am working when he's not sleeping, right? Which was the difference then and now. I have segregated that. There's also avenues of activities for him now, which are a lot more, as it used to be. My feeding and my nursing journey came to an end. So that's where also I feel like I get a lot more time now. Because when you are nursing, your time dependency is very different, right? So I'm using all those hours collectively to be able to pump in a lot more into work. Also making choices, right? Like I have slowed down immensely at the clinic. I don't see how 2 businesses juggle can do
with
exactly.
one person.
It's not humanly possible, right? Of course, like the thing is at the clinic, it's just me. At 7, we are a team. I have my co-founder. She's also my sister-in-law.
Oh, fantastic.
Yes.
Oh, that's lovely.
Yeah. So, we're going through coffee and she's also a mom.
Okay. So
she's a mom of a 4-year-old.
But there's your support system in multiple ways.
Exactly. So that's the thing, right? We do have that sort of tap in, tap out system if we need. Because we are moms, we sort of understand that we may not be able to work for the 12, 14 hours a day. But the hours are increasing. The quality of the hours I'm giving is increasing, right? When I'm there, I'm just there now. Versus being a lot more scattered than I was. I'm being able to give more quality time. Also, honestly, I work all hours. I just work. I'll be honest. I do not propagate this. Do not be like me. I work all hours. Post bedtime, I'm working. I'm responding to messages through the day. I'm responding to emails. Everyone knows they're going to get long voice notes from me at maybe 11 p.m. Do not be. I repeat, do not be me. But this is how I'm doing it for now. I hope to have better hours, going in the future, but that is how I am increasing my hours.
I mean, you sound like many entrepreneurs. Even motherhood doesn't. Many entrepreneurs, it's like this. The hours, it's like, oh, I'm so glad I got rid of my 9-to-5 job because now I just work from 9 until 9 a.m. again.
Absolutely, there's no hours. So like you'll either hear from me at 6 a.m. You'll hear from me at 11 p.m.
Yeah, exactly.
In fact, you may not hear from me at a peak 2 p.m. because that's maybe lunchtime with my son.
Your son.
So I'm saying that that's how
blocks, but otherwise,
absolutely, yes.
Okay, so was there ever a moment when you felt like you just couldn't keep going and you wanted to give up, and how did you overcome that?
Yes, I did. I felt that, like I said, around when he was 5 or 6 months, because I had this momentum going. I thought I'm really like, wow, I'm killing it. I'm being able to work. I'm being able to, and then everything just crashed. I feel like my body couldn't take it. The lack of sleep. I feel like mentally I felt extremely exhausted. And the number of decisions I had to make in a day were way too many, right? Whether it was for my son, whether it was for running the house,
Yes.
we do live by ourselves, so I also run the house.
Yes.
And whether it was for work, on both fronts, right? I took a bit of a breather. I slowed down completely for a couple of weeks. I took a mental health break. I chose to take a couple of weeks off. I got the clarity like that I can talk to you about today because I took that break. I feel like had I not taken that break, I would have been entirely burnt out and I would have not enjoyed any of this, including motherhood.
Yes.
Because you don't, and I don't want to feel bitter about anything today. Looking back, I don't want to be like, oh, I just completely left my work or I just completely left this. But that break gave me clarity like no other.
Did journaling help you in that process?
It helped me so much because what ended up happening was that I didn't get the time to journal, right? In all those months, because I was just like,
I
was going all guns blazing. I didn't get the time. So this gave me the time to journal. I do a lot of reflective journaling.
Yeah.
I think that helps me a lot more.
Yeah.
Because also you realize that, hey, listen, day 1 and day 30 are not the same. You are getting better.
Yeah.
You just don't see it.
Yeah.
It's only when you sort of look back and you realize that, okay, I'm not as bad as I envisioned myself to be. So myself to feel that crash.
Yeah.
I allowed myself to, I was emotionally eating. I watched that extra Netflix show.
Yeah.
I was very slow in my responses. I wasn't constantly available, which I'm used to being.
Yeah.
I used to respond in 4 to 5 business days, which is very unlike me.
Yeah.
I apologized, but at that time, if I didn't do what I needed to do for myself to, and that's when I started to take the help. That I'm telling you for my son.
Yeah.
That's when I realized I cannot be a one woman. If you can start, even if you're not pregnant or not a mom to be, the one advice I would give men, women, everyone alike, them, what I would say, just therapy is a way of life today.
Yes.
I don't think armies, we cannot be the be all and end all then.
Yeah.
And like I said, in my opinion, I feel like the possession driven love is not made for me.
Yeah.
That's not what I would want to give to my son. I feel like all encompassing health heat up is a lot better for him in the long run.
Yeah.
So the choice.
Consciousness.
Yes.
Exactly. And also, it's that moment for all women. It's that moment where you realize that you can't do it all and you can accept it.
I felt I was so much better even as a mom when I made that decision, basically.
Yeah. I went through not exactly the same journey, but a very similar one about coming to that choice and being like, I absolutely need this. And I've never had one regret about it for my daughter's 8, I said.
Like I said, I'm so glad to hear that, that
they're further on the journey.
It gets better and you don't have regrets. And that's amazing for me to hear. It's very encouraging for me to hear as a mom, honestly, right?
Yeah, because it's conscious. Like you really thought it through. And you've used the different tools to think it through, and you've emotionally and intelligently approached it. And then you decided to go on it, and you're testing it. You're adjusting and testing it. It's not like you're going blindly into it. So
you can't at the same.
I haven't asked you anything about your brand. Well, please let me do that now. So 7 Oral Care, where does this name come from? I told you I was going to ask you. So where does it come from?
Okay, so what do you do 7 days a week?
Brush your teeth.
Right?
Also sleep.
It wouldn't occur to you, right?
Yeah.
You think about go to the gym 7 days a week. You think about your coffee run 7 days a week. You wouldn't you think about maybe skincare 7 days a week.
Yeah.
Right? But you wouldn't think about oral care, oral beauty, because that's so neglected, but it's such an integral part of our ritual and routine.
It is, and we don't consciously.
That we just decided that how do you reinforce that in a more subtle and less direct way, basically.
That's amazing.
Yeah,
very
that's literally
smart.
as simple as it is.
Let me ask just again, entrepreneur, like how hard was it to get to that name? Because naming is like the hardest thing. I found naming to be the hardest thing when I was developing my brand.
Really was. We went through, I can't tell you how many names, right? I think it took us longer than a couple of months.
Yes.
We had allocated a certain amount of time, right? Because name was like,
it's never ending. Like
and of all the names, you just come to 7.
Yeah.
We made these like combination names, these really deep meanings which are related to oral care, related to smile, related to breath. You know what I mean? Like we tried everything but nothing seemed to fit because that's not what we wanted to stand for. We wanted to stand for, we want to change the way you think about oral care.
Yeah.
We want to change the way you look or perceive it. We want it to be oral beauty.
Yeah.
We want to be a part of your beauty routine. We want to be a part of your
and also 7. 7 is a very powerful number also. So it's a great choice.
Yeah.
Okay. So it recently had an amazing collaboration with Rhea Kapoor, as I understand it, right? Can you tell us the story behind it and how that bold partnership came to be?
Okay, so that's very exciting. And I
Yeah,
think this is the
super
first time I'm
exciting.
talking about it as well.
Okay, great. Okay,
Okay.
this is news breaking. Okay,
Yeah.
there we go.
So we always wanted to, when we were creating the company, this is way back, right? And I can literally share a screenshot of my notes app with you.
Yeah.
You're constantly thinking, and this is when you're not a mom.
Yeah.
So 2 a.m. is for notes.
Yeah,
And,
exactly.
thinking about the company at that point.
Yeah.
We always envisioned collaborating on limited edition drops, right? Like everyone else does. But with, I would say, renowned people, celebrities, whatever you want to call them, but those who really resonate with our brand. Someone who's cerebral, someone who has because, we have function meets style. If you'll see our products, it's a mix of everything, right? We wanted someone who really resonates with that. And she was literally on the top of our list. Okay. Tanvi and I both had Ria. And we were like, how are we even going to approach this, right? How are we going to reach out to her? Why would she even agree? She turned out to be an existing user. Yes.
Look at that.
Yes.
Amazing.
Yes. No, so in all transparency, we had gifted it to her.
Okay.
But
that doesn't
how
mean she's
many
using
gifts
it.
do you use?
Yeah, I mean,
right? How many gifts do you honestly use?
Yeah, exactly.
So we had gifted it to her, and she was an existing user. She was using it almost since the time we had sent it, which was when the brand launched. 6 months into it, I don't know. I just think Tanvi and I were just talking, and I was like, I think we should do this now. And she was like, we were like, it's 6 months. We're like fledglings. She possibly would not have even remembered the brand, right? I was like, no, I feel like let's try this, And we managed to find a connect, and we reached out, right? Knowing fully well that this is maybe going to be a 2025 plan, or like, you'll start a conversation and it'll be eons. 24 hours.
Really?
This collaboration closed in 24 hours. I am not exaggerating. Okay, so we reached out to her manager, and the managers literally sent us a picture saying, listen, she uses it, she loves it.
Amazing.
And she said she's super excited. And we'll get back to you, right? 24 hours later, Ria's on board. And we've closed our first limited edition collaboration for 7, which is the first, by the way, in the country.
Yeah.
No one's ever done that before. And she was very hands-on with the process. She chose the color. She sampled everything with us. She's given us the whole creative mood board. There's a reason she's a creative genius. I have to say this.
Yeah.
She's so passionate about the collaborations that she does. She's so hands-on about it that we've honestly had such a great experience working with her. I have to say this.
Yes. Well, her authenticity is like
It's
top level. So
absolutely.
I mean,
like you hear of it, or you feel like, are they going to be as, either approachable?
Yes.
No, it's been a different level.
Yeah.
So in fact, even post-launch, she used to keep following up with us. How's it going, guys? Every couple of weeks, how's it going? How's the response? And I feel like that's when you really make it, when you're really that interested in every collaboration that you do.
Because she's intentional about it.
Absolutely.
And authentic, and because it resonates with her, it doesn't. And clearly it did, because she was
Exactly.
using it already. So it's
Yeah,
like
she
a
was using
no-brainer.
it.
It's
Absolutely.
like a no-brainer.
Yes.
Well, thank you so much. Well, thank you so much, Dr. Nam. It was just, your story is amazing. I love hearing your motherhood story. I love hearing your content creation story, your entrepreneurial story. Just, chatting with you. We could be here for hours.
I agree.
Maybe we'll pick this up later and we'll
Definitely,
continue the
maybe
conversation for sure. So to all of our listeners, remember, as we've taught us, is balance. That success doesn't happen overnight, that it is a journey. It comes with hurdles. You cannot do everything. This is what I think we're going to take away from this. Journaling's great. Therapy is great. These are all great takeaways. And that we are definitely going to have to stay tuned for more exciting conversations coming together, us together, hopefully, and
Absolutely.
also on this podcast, Success Decoded. So thank you, everybody, and thank you again to my wonderful guests.
Thank you so much for having me. It's been amazing.
Thank you.
Dr. Nam, your story is truly an inspiring one, and one that I'm sure really resonated with a lot of our listeners today. From becoming a mom of a business and a newborn days apart from each other, to navigating your way through the journey of content creation and finding your impact over influence, you've shown us that success is about more than just achieving goals. It's about balancing the chaos with grace and purpose. Thank you for sharing your journey and these deeply personal insights with us. To our listeners, I hope you're walking away with valuable lessons on perseverance, balance, and staying true to yourself. What a wonderful reminder that success isn't about perfection. It's about finding strength in the midst of life's beautiful messiness. Stay tuned for more inspiring stories on Success Decoded. Until next time, keep striving, keep growing, and keep decoding your own version of success.